Hello and welcome from me. I'm Steve Williams, I'm Director of Sixth Form here at Wheatley Bay High School, and this is the Higher Education Information presentation that's aimed at Year 12 students who are thinking about attending university next year. About a year from now, students will be making firm choices from offers that they've received from universities, and the process starts pretty much now. Now, you are parent-wise a particularly mixed audience in that some of you would have been to university yourselves and had maybe several children go through the process. Others will not have attended university themselves and will be going through this with a child for the first time. So for that reason, this is a very comprehensive presentation. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes, so I do apologise if there's more information than you personally need. But hopefully we'll cover everything that everybody does need, and if we don't, there are a few email addresses underneath the title on the screen there. That's for me, Ian Clark, the head of Year 12. He'll be more than happy to answer any questions or queries that you've got once you've watched this presentation. Now, I'm going to turn my camera off now so that you don't have to be distracted by me and you can concentrate on the information that's on the screen instead. Okay, so let's get underway. First of all, finding the university course and applying for it should be a fairly simple process, and indeed it is. But there are several mini processes that you need to be aware of, and that's what this presentation is really about. So it's quite a straightforward process that has lots of different parts to it, and I'm going to talk you through those parts in this presentation. So let's go for the real basics first. What is higher education? Well, higher education is a programme of study that is beyond the sixth form courses that students are currently taking. And for the vast majority, it'll be a 3-year course that they take. Some are longer and they tend to have more qualifications attached to them, but most are 3-year degree courses. I do want to draw your attention though to 2 other courses, foundation degrees and degree apprenticeships. Foundation degrees are accessed with lower grades than you would normally expect for a degree course, and you can finish after 1 year and take the foundation degree, or you can continue and move to a full degree after you've done your foundation year. So it's kind of like an access course, if you like. And now, of course, that involves a year of extra fees, so that does need to be considered, but they are a good way into degree courses if your grades are lower or if you're not entirely sure about the degree that you want to enter. It gives you a kind of trial year, if you like. Degree apprenticeships are funded by an employer, for instance somebody like Barclays Bank, and they're often more intense because you are working at the same time as learning, and they often take well over 3 years for the same reason that you're working at the same time as learning. But of course, because the employer is funding the degree, it is a considerable saving on finance, so it's well worth thinking about those two. So moving on, and we're still on the basics, there are a vast range of courses available for people who want to go to university, well over 50,000 courses available. And you have to decide whether you want to study a course that you're already studying at A-level, for instance economics, or whether you want to study a specialised version of a course that you're currently doing. So you might be studying biology and decide to study microbiology at degree level. Or you can take a completely new course in something like law. And of course, if you decide to take a completely new course, it's very, very important that you find out about it by researching and being very careful that you know exactly what the course will entail. Now, most degrees are in one subject, but they don't have to be. So many students take a single subject, for instance English literature, but you can also do joint subjects where you might do something like English literature and history. Almost any combinations are possible at universities, but they tend to join up courses that are quite similar, like literature and history, or a couple of sciences or something like that. You can also do something called the Combined Honours course, which is 2, 3, 4 or even more subjects across 3 years. This is like a customised degree. You pretty much choose what you want to do and when you do it. And if you do that, your degree will be called Combined Honours. It won't be a degree in a particular subject. I also want to mention sandwich courses briefly. Sandwich courses are those that involve a year in industry or a year abroad. And if the year in industry or abroad is 1 year, that's called a thick sandwich course. And if the year in industry or abroad is a term, then it's called a thin sandwich course. Now, for everything I've just mentioned, I want to point out that we have a wealth of experience to draw on in the sixth form team. We encourage students to discuss their options with us and with tutors all the time, right from now. So there certainly isn't any need to worry about the wealth of options available at degree level. You just come and have a chat to us, tell us what you want to do, and we'll talk about your options. Something else that can be used to help students in choosing their courses is Unifrog. Year 12 should be well versed in using Unifrog by now. It's something that we've used on several occasions. It was originally a platform for finding university courses, but That's what it's designed for, hence the name, but it's also a very, very powerful careers platform generally, and we'll be giving time in tutor periods after May half term to use Unifrog in order to research and find next steps. And that goes for students not going to university as well, because it has apprenticeships on it. So Unifrog will be an important tool for students to be using as time goes on, particularly after the May half term. So let's just think about some key considerations. You've decided that you're going to go to university, you've decided the course you want to study, but where are you going to go? Whether or not you want to stay at home or move away from home is obviously a critical decision. Now, we're lucky that if students stay at home, they are within reach of several universities. Simply on the metro you can get to at least 3. If you move away from home, obviously that brings you a greater degree of independence, but there's obviously a financial advantage at staying at home. You do need to consider what accommodation you will be expecting when you go to university, and you'll need to look into that and research that and do some real thinking about that, because where you live will be a very important part of how happy you are when you are in a higher education institution. And finally, you've got to consider the place that you're going will be suitable for you. Some people really enjoy living in big cities. Some people really enjoy living in quieter, more enclosed campus-based universities where it feels more like a village. It really does need to suit your personality and what you'll be happy with and where you'll be happy living, because you've got to be very careful because you'll be there for 3 years. Now, we permit visits to universities and they're open days, and indeed we encourage people to go on them. We think it's a really good idea to do so, to make sure that you get a good feel for the place and that it's the right place for you. And so some students will be taking time out in June usually to make those decisions by visiting the universities. We recommend visiting at least 3 or 4 and then a maximum of 5 until you've got a really good feel for the places you're choosing between. So just a quick word about partners, NU entry and supported progression, which are 3 different titles for pretty much the same thing at Northumbria, Newcastle and Durham universities. These are initiatives aimed at those statistically less likely to go to university, and you have to fit criteria, for instance being the first in your family to go to university, but there are several criteria and it's well worth looking to see if you fit them. If you do, have a look at these 3 universities if you're thinking about going to them, and if you're eligible, it's well worth looking at the programme. It often involves spending time at the university, sometimes in the summer, but the benefit is that they give you a lower offer. So perhaps an AAA course may be reduced to an offer of ABB or something like that if you applied through the scheme. So they're well worth looking at and seeing if you can apply, and if you want to go to those universities anyway and you are eligible, it's really a bit of a no-brainer. The application process itself is done through the UCAS website. We send the application to UCAS and UCAS sends the application to the universities. Universities then make offers to students via the UCAS website, so it's kind of like a middleman if you like. The UCAS website, once students have signed up for it, allows them to choose 5 courses that they want to be considered for by the universities. Those courses can be at the same institution, so you can apply for 5 different courses at Newcastle if you want to, or you can apply to 5 different courses at 5 different universities. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you are applying for 5 courses, and what happens is that once you've applied for those courses, the universities reply by making you an offer or rejecting your application. If they make you an offer, it's either in grades or in points. Grades offers will be something like, if you want to be accepted on the course, you'll need to get 3 Bs. Or they might say 120 points, as is the example on the screen. So you could get the 120 points by getting a range of different grades. I've put the table in the middle of this slide so you can look at how the points equivalents work. But universities will offer you points or grades, or they will reject the application. And in March, you take your offers and you narrow them down to 2. So hopefully you'd receive 5 offers from your 5 applications and you narrow them down to 2. One is your firm choice and one is your insurance choice. Now, we do an assembly in February to give advice about this firm and insurance decision and all of the considerations that need to be made when doing that. So don't worry about that at all. It's just a simple case of narrowing down your 5 choices to 2. And we'll do all sorts of walkthroughs of the application as well, including walking through the form itself and how you fill in the form this year and early next year in year 13. So don't worry about any of that. We've got it all covered for you. Here's a quick preview of the UCAS website. You register using what they call a buzzword, which connects you to our school. The buzzword is WBHS and then the year you're applying for, so 2026 in this occasion, and that connects your application to us to administer and control it. It gives us editing rights, and it means that the pressure is taken off students because we're the ones that send it to UCAS when we know it's right and ready to do so. It's not from the student to send it themselves. They are filling the form in and we are making sure it's accurate and ready to send. So whilst we're on that, filling the form in, let's have a look at what it is and what it looks like. The UCAS form has 3 sections. It asks you to give student details like name and addresses. It asks you to put your choices in, but it also asks for a personal statement in the 2nd section. And there's a space for us to put a reference in the 3rd section. The 1st section, the student details and the choices, very straightforward. It's name, address, things like that. It's also the subjects that you're studying, the subjects you're applying for the universities, and you also have to put down your GCSE results as well. So quite a few factual things to make sure that you've got answers to at your fingertips before you fill that section in. Section 3, the reference, is now far simpler than it used to be. We simply attach 2 or 3 statements to the application that in case there's anything that universities need to be aware of about the student's personal circumstances. And we also send them a pen portrait of the school and the school's context. Section 2 is the part of the form that takes some doing. It's complicated and it takes several drafts to do it. It's the personal statement that's used by universities as a discriminator. They could have 200 applications for a course of 150 places, and they'll award those 150 places to the students that sound like the best students, often based on their personal statements. So personal statements are very important. We devote tutorial time and give our time with tutors and the 6th form team to help get them right. Tutors and 6th form team read them, they give advice on how to improve them, and they hand them back in again, and it goes round and round and round until we're happy that the personal statement is very good. Sometimes at least 6 or 7 drafts to get it right, often as many as 10 or 12. This year, the personal statement has changed. It asks 3 questions. Qualifications and studies and how they've helped you to prepare for the course or subject that you're applying for, what else you've done to prepare you outside of your educational experiences, and at the beginning, and I've left this to the end, quite importantly, why do you want to study this course or subject? Often that's the part that students struggle with. Why do you want to study English literature or biology? What is it about those courses that excite you? What is it about those courses that you think is important in making the world a better place? So it can be quite philosophical, and those 3 questions now are framing the personal statement, making it easier. It's still the same length, 4,000 characters long or 47 lines, but it should now be easier because everybody's answering the same 3 questions. Just to follow that up, Unifrog has advice and examples on your personal statements, so there's plenty of help available on how to do it. Unifrog help looks like this. It's on the screen now. It asks you certain questions about what subjects you're studying, what interests you have and experiences you have, and it will help you build your personal statement certainly as a draft for you to start from. So there's plenty of help both in human form but also through Unifrog as well. Although in a sense it's very straightforward, the application, things can go wrong, but they shouldn't if you follow the right steps. One of the most important things to do is research. That's right from today, researching the courses that you want to do and the universities that you want to attend. The UCAS website and university prospectuses are your first point of call, followed by Unifrog, and you draw up a short list of universities using Unifrog, and you contact them with any questions that you might have. It might be about the course content, or it might be about accommodation, or something like that. So you are allowed to contact universities directly. Do all your due diligence and make sure you're absolutely sure that you've got all the information you need. And don't forget to visit the universities as well. I think I've already said, but in May and June, you are expected to visit universities on your shortlist to make sure that you're making the right choices. One of the tools that is less used by students, I think, is really important, is the filter tools on Unifrog. You can put your shortlist into Unifrog and then filter it, and it will tell you things like the universities. It will rank them on the percentage of jobs secured within 12 months of leaving with the degree. And really key information like that. It'll even tell you which universities have the best nightlife and social life. It will tell you everything, and it will rank them in all lots of different ways, however you ask it to. So it'll help you come to a decision about which is the right one for you. One thing I would like to draw your attention to is the Higher Education and Apprenticeship Fair, which is this year on April the 29th. More about that in a few moments. But this is where we've got dozens and dozens of universities from all over the country in the school. They set up stalls and you can meet their representatives. You can ask about the courses that you want to do and where you want to go, and it's a brilliant opportunity to come to enjoy what is essentially a marketplace and have a real look at the options that are out there for you. But we also have lots and lots of events that are not on the screen. It's not an exhaustive list that's on the screen here, but we make sure that there are lots of things to make sure that students are able to work through the process of applying to university without any problems. Might be worth pausing this video for a few minutes and just looking at the key milestones that are coming up. Talking of milestones, I think this is quite useful. It gives you an idea about what's coming up this time of year and beyond. So you'll be writing personal statements as drafts to show us that you want to go through the process, shows that you're ready, and you do that before you enrol into year 13. In May, June and July, it's the open days and visits that I've talked about already a few times. And then there are the two deadlines in October and January. These are UCAS deadlines, not ours. More about that in a moment. The 15th of October deadline is for Oxford, Cambridge, dentistry, medicine and veterinary science courses. That won't be many students, but will be a fair few involved in that deadline. For everyone else, the deadline is late January. Usually around January the 20th. It changes every year. This is the deadline for all other courses, although some courses, for instance drama courses, do have their own deadlines. Drama schools, I should have said, do have their own deadlines. Drama courses at university would be the normal 20th deadline. But I do want to draw your attention to what it says in red. The deadlines are UCAS deadlines, not ours. We consider November to be a late application, even though the deadline is January. Everything really needs to be done by the end of November. We don't like to go into December because of the 2-week Christmas holiday that holds everything up. And we have to go through a big checking process, which I'll explain in a second. So any application after November is really in danger of not meeting the overall deadline and causes a lot of stress. In a nutshell, we expect all applications to be done and dusted by the end of November. And then by the 31st of March, you'll hear back with offers from your universities. It's as early as January for Oxford and Cambridge, and as I've already said, you change your offers into firm and insurance choices from March, but right up to June, and we do some work with you on that well before June to make sure you know exactly what you're doing with the offers that you've received. I'm not going to go through all of these at all. This is something for you to press pause on and read more carefully for some details about the process. It's 14 steps that students go through from the very beginning, working with their tutors and their applications, right through to the application being sent. So when you've got a few minutes, pause this video, have a look at these steps and make sure you're familiar with the process that you go through from start to finish. Now, we're not superhuman, but we have sent thousands of people on thousands of university courses over the years. There's pretty much nothing we haven't dealt with before. So please use the team and the teaching staff around in order to support you with your applications. We will have the answer to almost any question that you have, and if you don't, we'll find out the answer. You have a very, very good team available to help you, so please use us. And finally, I just want to reiterate that an important part of the process is to go along to the universities and get a feel for them, but also, of course, to meet the university representatives at our Higher Education and Apprenticeship Fair. And here is the date again of the Higher Education and Apprenticeship Fair, Tuesday the 29th of April. It runs from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. So thank you for listening to this. I hope it's been useful. And as I said before, any questions, please send them to the email addresses at the beginning of the video, and we look forward to seeing you in April.